Look, there are hundreds of thousands of older adults and people with disabilities who need home and community-based care services. They qualify for it under Medicaid, but there's a backlog of thousands of people. But one study showed that $3,000 spent helping a senior stay in their home by providing, it saves the country more than $20,000 a year in medical cost. At the same time, more than 1.5 million Americans work in home care. They're disproportionately women, women of color, and immigrants, and those jobs are among the lowest paid in the economy. 1 in 6 home care workers lives in poverty. We need to do better on both sides of the equation. My plan expands home care for the older and disabled Americans while improving jobs and pay for home care workers who care for them. And here's the deal. You save a lot of money if you don't have to go to a home. Keeping people in their own home, mentally and every other way, is a benefit, a significant benefit for the community as well as cost. We also need to continue to make health care more affordable. When we lowered premiums and expanded coverage for the my American Rescue Plan, more than 1.5 million people signed up for what used to be called Obamacare. I want to make these premium reductions permanent so we can get even more people covered. We need to deal with a shortage of affordable housing in America. Over 10 million renters in this country pay more than half their income for the rent on their apartment. And the lack of affordable housing prevents people from moving to communities where there are more opportunities. So we're going to make historic investment in affordable housing, increasing and improving the housing supply by building and rehabilitating more than 2 million homes, especially in places that need more housing. And we need to invest not just in the physical and human infrastructure of today, we need to invest in jobs in the industries of tomorrow. 3 decades ago, and this always disturbs me, even just repeating it, 3 decades ago, the United States was #1 in the world for a share of their GDP being invested in research and development. We were #1 in the world. We're now #8 in the world. #8 in the world. China was China was #9 in the world. Now they're #2 in the world. Folks, Democrats and Republicans agree we can't afford to lose this race. They came together in the Senate in an Innovation and Competition Act that Dick was very much a part of to help us grow the industries that win the jobs of the future. We need to lay the foundation for the next generation of American jobs and American leadership in manufacturing and technology. We're going to invest in historic black colleges and universities under minority-serving institutions, because while these schools may not have the endowments or the labs needed to generate these jobs, these students are just as capable of learning about all the things that are going to provide the jobs of the future. And of course, no challenge is as urgent as climate change. Last week, I met with 8 governors for a better part of an hour, all from the western states, Republicans and Democrats. They're facing extreme heat, record drought, and a fire season that threatens to be much longer, more dangerous, and more destructive than ever. Last year, for example, more than 10 million acres burned in the West. 10 million acres, not counting the lives lost and homes lost. More land that exists in my home state of Delaware and my neighboring state of Maryland combined. So if a fire swept through and took out every single thing in the state of Delaware and Maryland. The drought conditions this year are twice as bad. You've seen the pictures. Reservoirs that are 40 feet down, 50 feet down. The extreme weather isn't just in the West. In Illinois, farmers downstate are dealing with more frequent droughts. And 2 weeks ago, just south of here, you just had a nearly unprecedented tornado. We can't wait any longer to deal with climate crisis. We see it with our own eyes, and it's time to act. The bipartisan agreement we reached makes some major strides. It's going to allow the transition of thousands of old, for example, diesel school buses and buses, city buses. We're going to change them to electric buses. There are roughly 500,000 of these iconic yellow school buses on the road today. 95% of them run on diesel, for example. And diesel pollutes the air and is linked to asthma and other health problems and hurts our communities and causes our students to miss school. I'll put Americans to work capping tens of thousands of abandoned oil and gas wells that are leaking methane. It's devastating. And the wages to cap these wells are the same wages it took to dig the wells, making people be able to earn a prevailing wage to do it. There's thousands of them. But we need to go further. I want to provide tax cuts for businesses and consumers who invest in clean energy technologies like renewables, battery storage, next-generation aviation fuels, electric vehicles. I want to set a clean electric standard that moves us to a fully clean and reliable grid. These steps are going to create good-paying union jobs and spur demand for domestic manufacturing, accelerating clean energy and clean cars, growing our capacity to build those technologies on factory floors with union workers here in the United States. And we create a new generation of jobs in clean energy manufacturing. I also want to enlist a new generation of climate conservation and resilience workers, like FDR did when the American Work Plan for preserving our landscape with the Civilian Conservation Corps. It's a similar thing. We can put Americans to work strengthening public lands and waters and making our communities, rural and urban, more resilient against extreme weather. And we can take on the long overdue work of advancing environmental justice by addressing pollution. My plan is also going to give grants to spur innovative policies and land projects, local projects like installing community solar and storage in disadvantaged communities, replacing street lights that are made in America with LED bulbs that cost a whole lot less and last a whole lot longer, making upgrades in homes and school and community centers to boost energy efficiency and cut electric bills. Folks, I've laid a lot of plans here, but that's because it's time we have to think bigger, we have to act bolder, and we have to build back better.